What's up YouTube? Capital G here, gonna give you guys a new batch of videos. I'm going to be discussing what I believe is the tier 1 decks post Shining Darkness. The reason I'm putting this video out, and I know I did tier 1 discussion before, is because I really don't think that the decks that I did at the beginning of this format are still tier 1. Shining Darkness is a set much like Duelist Genesis or Phantom Darkness that has shook up the meta so much that things that were tier 1 before basically just, I mean, it was like sink or swim, and a lot of those decks just sank. The effects on the meta were so drastic that I feel like I have to put out another video. The first deck that I'm going to be talking about is probably the most talked about deck of the format right now, and the most hype, obviously, the Infernities. It's an amazing deck. It did what I thought it would do. It's tier 1. It's not completely dominating the meta, but it is easily good enough to win a YCS, top A regional, or do anything in between. The reason I say this is because the deck has the ability to completely just take 6 cards, load up the board with, 3 to 4 synchros easily, bounce everything you have to your hand or off the field, and basically give it a great lockdown situation with the Infernity barrier that you basically can't disrupt or you can't get around, and you'll just lose that next turn if you don't have the Gores or Trigodia or Battle Fader or something like that. A lot of people have been making a comparison of Infernity to Lightsworn, calling it the Dark Lightsworn. I don't actually agree with this. The difference between Lightsworn and Infernity is the skill that it takes to play the deck. Lightsworn, there were many times, and Cesar Gonzalez said it best, you can play Lightsworn, and if you don't mill well, you will lose, because I don't want to say the deck was designed to do that, but it's just how it was. I mean, there were many times if you had Lightsworn and you had like a Lila and don't have an Honest, that's pretty much a bad situation. However, you mill a Necro Gardener or you mill a Wolf, and now your JD becomes live, your Celestia becomes live, you're in a good situation. Something like that. You don't mill that card, it's bad. That's the difference between Infernity and Lightsworn. Infernity can rip one card and create an entire loop out of that. Any deck can do that. Maybe not to the extent that Infernity does, but it's the same exact concept. Any deck can rip one card off the top and just crush you. But the reason that the skill level is so drastically different is because, and I'm going to have to steal some lines from Del Bolito, like he said, playing the hands with Infernity that are good doesn't take a whole lot of skill. It's not hard to do the Archfiend launcher loop and then end with the barrier, and you pretty much got the game. But it is insanely difficult. In fact, I think it is the most difficult probably deck to play in that respected situation when you have a bad hand, playing Infernity out to get the win. And by that I mean just having a hand where you don't have an OTK, or having a hand where your opponent has something like a first turn card that would lock you down or something like that. I actually think Infernity is a lot more like DDT, which just kind of makes it insanely fun and gives me like this secret love of Infernity because of that. I say that because there are times when you play Infernity where you have that nuts hand and it feels like the deck's on autopilot. It feels like you didn't really have to do anything but like play 2 cards and the rest of the thing just play itself. However, when you have that bad hand, if you've ever played DDT and you don't have that OTK hand, it gets insanely difficult to win. And that's the difference between a good player and a great player. A good player will probably lose that hand. A great player will turn that into a winning situation. It takes a lot of skill to do that, though. And I also make a comparison to DDT because Infernity is it's a deck that it puts everything on the board for that goal of getting that OTK. And there aren't that many decks that will do that. I mean, there are decks that have side effects of getting OTKs, like sometimes it just happens, like Lightsworn. Sometimes you have double JD, you get the OTK. Not a lot of decks that put everything they have, invest all 6 cards into getting that OTK. And DDT and Infernity do that. I really like Infernity right now because of the matchups. I feel that it can just easily outpace slower decks like Gadgets, Blackwings. I feel that if you have the right setup, you can easily take out X-Sabers. I mean, Infernities is a deck where if you don't have something to answer and they have a good hand, you're going to get OTK'd. And it's just sad, but it's what it is. I think it honestly is what the deck was designed to do, straight from Konami. However, one problem I have with Infernities, and it's not Infernities' fault themselves. It's kind of an effect of the meta and hype. Is that so many people are side decking? I mean, upwards to 7 cards for the deck in the sideboard, and maining, you know, upwards of 4 cards. I mean, you're looking at now 11 cards put in a deck just to stop you, and that's pretty difficult to deal with. I mean, anything from Concentrated Light to DD Crow to Thunder King Ryo. I mean, and it's very difficult to not only play around that, but when you have the target on your back, as Infernities do right now, it can get a little difficult. That being said, I still believe that they're a tier 1 deck. Their speed and swarm ability it gives them just an edge that I really don't think any other deck right now in the format has, as far as just being aggressive. If you are up to it, I would suggest trying the deck on YVD, seeing it how you like it, and then maybe playing it. It's a shame that the deck is so expensive. I mean, I'm talking $500 plus to get everything, but I think it's a very good deck. And even post banlist, because the most I think could possibly happen is Infernity Launcher at 1. I really don't think that the deck is going to lead to tier 1 anytime soon. So peace. Check out my other 2 videos about the tier 1 guys. Thanks.